Yo, 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 what's good, YouTube? What's good? It's STORMYBMAN, and I am back. Welcome to the post-fight show with STORMYBMAN. And we're going to talk about the fight cards that took place today, from earlier this afternoon on through this evening, just finishing up with the Stevenson versus CLARY card on ESPN due to a mighty delay, but yet and still we got a chance to finish it out, and we're gonna come on in here and talk about these fights this evening, as I have my man Boxing Conversations with Reggie Owens here with us, and we're gonna bring this post-fight show to you and talk about everything for those of you who didn't get a chance to see the fights, or those who had a chance to listen to various calls, including Reggie's calls. We're going to be here to talk about it. And I want to say salute to everybody that's out there in the chat that's joined us. What's going on with you, Reggie, man? How you doing?
Oh, doing good, OG, doing good.
Yeah, what a day, right? Another day filled to the brim with boxing, and thanks to ESPN for extending it even more than we would have liked, but yet and still we here because we're dedicated to the sport and we're dedicated to our audience. So we are here to discuss it all. Just finished wrapping up your call on it, and we can go right on in to this card that was the ESPN card, finishing up this evening with Shakur Stevenson against Toka Khan Clary, which was a fight that, you know, we talked about it a little bit last night, and I felt even from last night that this particular fight was going to be the type of fight that would give Shakur a different type of a test, and it's exactly what it turned out to be. We got a chance to see some good stuff, so let's get right on into it, man. Let's talk about it, man. Good call, by the way. My service was really buffering this evening, so I was behind, man. I was like a round behind you, and it's like, that's so frustrating. And then what happened was, after the Nakatani fight was done, it stopped buffering, right? And then started again when the Shakur fight, when they was on their way to the ring. Come on, man. What's really going on? Somebody out there doing something, Reggie, and I'm mad. But great call on it. I was still listening to you through the whole thing, but I was just so frustrated from the buffering and whatnot. And it was on my streaming service, but on ESPN Plus, which I do have ESPN Plus, I was seeing those undercards and stuff just fine. So it was really frustrating, man. So, but what are your thoughts overall, man?
I was impressed with Shakur, man. I was really impressed, man. He no playing around in the ring. He moved forward, mixed in well with what he had with this opponent, who was in there to not fold. This dude was a good test for Shakur Stevenson. Shakur did everything right. He led offensively, even with an opponent who wouldn't really lead too much with the action. That wasn't Shakur sitting there waiting around to try to, fake the guy into a situation. Shakur led the action all the way through and started to kind of beat down on this dude, really start to break this dude down early in this fight, mixing down these punches every which way that he wanted to hit him, down to the body, to the side of the jaw, straight line punches. Transitions from offense to defense were so damn smooth, and it led this dude with no other option but to just hug the hell out of Shakur. He tied up a whole lot in this fight in order to keep himself surviving, because Shakur really started to as the fight moved on, really start to go to work down on his body and just really start to back him. This dude spent a lot of this fight backing up. He landed a few good shots at moments on Shakur. He'll catch Shakur with some of these hooks over the top, but along with Shakur rolling with the shots. So Shakur took a lot up off of him, didn't fully absorb the true impact of the power. But what Shakur did in here was an excellent excellent display of boxing. The dude shows, like people were saying, that he's kind of above the rest of the top tier talent pool, and it really shows. When you see other guys who love to go into what they seen Floyd Mayweather do with the Philly shell type style, and Shakur is the only dude who properly uses that style of fighting. He's not wasting too much energy. He knows what he's doing it for. He knows what to anticipate, and he knows what to throw back. He anticipate whatever counter is coming from a guy, and he knows what shot is going to be open. His mind is way ahead of what I see, and especially the opponent was in there against. His mind was so far ahead of this dude, and what I see from this kid is brilliance. And even when you're in there where you can't get the knockout, that doesn't stop you from going in here, putting in the proper work that you need to put in here. And that's to go in here and show the judges a clear side of what you in here doing. Not just sitting here waiting to find one right hand. He ain't do none of that. He mixed in everything, touched everything on this dude, and it just gave the judges nothing, nothing to where they have to figure out who did what, who should I get this round for. He didn't do none of that. And he showed why he is who people believe he is, and that's Shakur Stevenson. But that's all I got on that.
Well, you didn't have to empty the tank of praises on the brother, because there are some things that we can discuss that, maybe he should work on. But yeah, it was a good performance by he, and as I had stated from my pre-fight video and last night's chop session, Khan Clary was the type of opponent that was not just going to come out there and lay down. I had done my homework and studying him and realized that he would be in there, he would be durable. And that was what was needed, because for a young fighter like Shakur Stevenson, who's very talented, he needs fighters that are going to give him rounds. And the whole process of going extended rounds as opposed to just knocking dudes out is to learn your way around a fight, whether it's, catching up and focusing in on your conditioning, your punch output, the economy of motion that I like to speak about sometimes when fighters who are gifted with good feet. We saw an example of good feet on another card that we'll get to and talk about, but it's like when a fighter puts himself in a position to be effective, with effective aggressiveness, that is first and foremost something that the judges look for, even though they don't talk about it very much anymore with the commentators, right? Because commentators also fall in love with house fighters. So, but you have to pay attention to what you're seeing. What I did like that I saw this evening straight away was that Shakur looked to take the fight to Khan Clary, but he wanted to work on some punch combinations. He wanted to work the body. He wanted to see if he could break the guy down and go about it in a workmanlike fashion, all behind a jab, which was very good tonight for him. His jab opening the fight, when he landed it solidly, when they were exchanging jabs, and it kind of knocked Khan Clary off balance, it put something in Khan Clary's mind that, this guy is strong. You know what I mean? He's a young kid, but he's strong. And those are the type of things a coach, a team, a camp is looking to set a precedent for. And in seeing that from Shakur to open up was pretty nice. You know what I mean? And as the rounds progressed, it went from, Khan Clary early on was going to try to win the fight. It became a battle of attrition where he wanted to survive the fight. And he did certain things. There was some holding and things like that there were some things that Shakur could have done. But yet and still, I'm not going to be overly critical on what he could have done, because what he did do was a grade in the positive for going forward. He may have wanted to stop this guy. This guy was not going to give him that opportunity unless he did certain things that more experience would allow for. But that's fine, because he won every round and he put on a show and a display of putting his punches together well. He needs to work on cutting the ring off a little bit better. He didn't take a lot of flush, clean shots. A lot of shots he was able to slip or block off the glove and catch off the glove and things like that. He was very focused in there, where sometimes younger fighters can get a little bored, as someone we can talk about when we discuss the next card. But all in all, he was very focused, and he fought like a more mature fighter on this night. He was able to keep his eyes up. He was able to keep his conditioning up, and he was able to continue to do what was working well for him. And Clary realized, early on that it was going to be a tough night for him. And always understand this, that Clary didn't open up with a lot more shots, because there were certain precise shots that Shakur was landing to the body, where he was bringing shots around the side and underneath, that if he opens up, that may create an opportunity for, like, you remember when Terrence Crawford took out Ndangu, there were some opportunities for something like that. So Clary showed his ring IQ as well. He was very smart. He didn't look to exchange with Shakur. There was a couple of times when they did shoot shots at one another, and he got the worst of it. So he was like, he would let Shakur do something, then he would do something, or he'll move back and reset and get himself together to do something again. There was a lot of strategy going back and forth through this as I was watching it. So, but it was very interesting to see him go the distance like he did, and his attention span didn't wane. It didn't roam. He looked like he could go another 5 rounds if you're talking about, 15 rounders, He looked strong, and he looked prepared. I think the fact that he has been doing this thing with, he's working corners now and stuff like that as well, that's helping, Reggie. That's helping a lot, because it can keep him dialed in, even if he could see, like, whoever he's working with, strengths and weaknesses, then he can focus on that for himself as well. Because how can you be out there mentoring and helping someone, but you don't do it yourself? You see what I'm saying? So it's like, all in all, there was a number of factors that you can come away with this and, give a good grade out for Shakur. So, but that's my opening remark on that. Did you have anything that you wanted to rebuttal on that?
No, but your point on that, on his coaching, giving him the ability of know what he's seeing inside that ring, it gives him a different aspect. Being from the outside and also bringing on the inside of the ring and applying that aspect of being a teacher who also gets to come in as a fighter. And like saying, the people he has around him, on top of him being a coach of his own, he has the proper mentors within the game of boxing, and that being Terrence Crawford as well as Andre Ward. So this dude is properly groomed, Olympic pedigree. And, man, the sky's the limit, man. I can't wait to see where Shakur goes, man, as far as his career. I'm really sold on the young dude. And he does everything proper inside the ring, especially with what I've seen tonight. Being in there, He's in there against another tough dude. Clary being a very smart fighter, knowing what to do to survive, and Shakur just having to figure out and sticking to his gun, just boxing it out, not going overboard, looking to knock the guy's head off. He just boxed proper. He put on a great display of boxing. Very, very high technical application in there, man. I love everything I saw from him.
Yeah. Now there's some what I'm looking for a word, not to use it twice, but there's a little chatter in the chat where people are questioning whether or not he's ready for the champion like Burchelt, or if, you know, he should be facing one of the other guys like, you know, Farmer or something like that or whatever. But listen, when you have someone that's as talented as Shakur Stevenson, there's no rush. There's no rush, because they're putting him in against the type of opposition as we spoke about, Reggie. They know he can punch, right? They know this. He's got a lot of knockouts early on. In his first few fights, he was, you know, sleeping guys and not even fully, you know, maturing yet. So again, they got past that phase. Then they began to get into this phase of letting him face different types of styles, which is the next stage. They're actually moving him in a manner of which in a manner of which fighters of yesterday would be moved. And there were certain matches that they would take, and when they passed that litmus test, boom, they go to another situation. And see, what they haven't put him in there with yet is this. They haven't put him in there with a puncher yet. A guy that can really crack. Might be slow of foot. Hand speed might be slow, but might have very heavy hands. See, that's another wrinkle that they're going to have to put him in and face against. Then he might have to face another type of opponent that is going to be maybe a guy with a great deal of movement, okay, or movement, or high volume puncher, you know, maybe kind of feather fisted, but a guy that can run numbers, as I like to say, combinations, and get shots off, because you have to have an answer for that. Or that guy that really moves laterally, got good lateral movement. You got to cut that ring off. And you did hear me say that he needs to work on that aspect a little bit better, cutting off the ring. So moving to that phase, or getting into that next phase, is essential, because when you have a prospect like a Shakur, yeah, it's easy for people out here in the chat to say, yeah, he ready. But ready for what? If you're talking about ready to defeat an individual, there's a lot of guys he can beat. If you're talking about him winning a title, there are titles that he can acquire. There's a million of them out there, right? The trinkets are left and right? That's no doubt about that. But to become a champion and to be able to have a title reign and to defend and retain, that is what you are preparing him for. Because once you get there, and we've talked about this in the past, you can't say, okay, let's slow things down and tighten the wrench on the training wheels. No, you're the champion. You got to defend. You got to defend against contenders. You got to defend against mandatories. You got to defend against people who coming for you because they want what you have acquired. So that aspect, you have to focus on that, and by making the proper matches and getting him there. It may only take I had said before he fought that young man that was the brother of his girlfriend or whatever, I had said that I didn't want him to win the title right away. I wanted him to have at least 5 or 6 more fights. And I think this is like his second fight since I said that. So maybe 3 or 4 more fights of fighting different types of opposition, and then start considering where they're going to go. Now, for those who want to rush the cart, be happy that he has the type of management that he does and people looking out for him as they are, because this is the proper way. Look at Danny Dubois, huh? He got rushed into that fight with Joe Joyce. Both of them didn't have 15 fights yet, but at the same time, people thought, you know, big, strong, heavyweight, he got a knockout punch, he's strong, he's big, he looks the part. Dude, he got taken to school, and that wasn't even from the best. So you had people out there already talking about, had him KOing Wilder and KOing Fury and KOing Joshua and everything, and it's like he couldn't get past Joyce's jab. You know, and all of those guys that I just mentioned offer a different set of problems. So this is why you can't just be putting guys out there to be, you know, knockout champions. Ernie Shavers used to knock people out all the time, but he never became heavyweight champion of the world. Even with the bricks that he had in those gloves, he never became the heavyweight champ. Huh? He wasn't a complete fighter, but he was a hell of a fighter as far as being a contender and a guy who could put on a show and get in there with guys who were champions and put on a great show and display. But he just didn't have that next gear to take him to that next level or next couple of levels. So, you know, that's just something to say. What are your thoughts on that, Reggie? Talking about how he's being guided along at this particular time.
Yeah, no, he's being moved along properly, man. I don't think there's no rush to becoming a champion. Some people are rushed along to you know, some people are rushed into being champions, and then once they get it, like you said, there's no title reign. A lot of them aren't defending these titles against other champions. They're not fighting top guys. They're just holding on the belts, taking kind of this easy touches that they could have been taking without holding on to a title. But some guys rushing in there a little bit too fast and end up stepping against the wrong competition they weren't prepared for and getting destroyed and getting their, you know, some time taken off of their careers or possibly getting their careers ended. We've seen what happened with J-Rock. Many people thinking, you know, and him buying into the hype of what he was doing, rushing a little bit too soon, biting off a little bit more than he can chew, and then taking the Charlo fight a little bit premature. The same thing we've seen with Erickson Lubin possibly taking the Charlo fight a little bit too soon, biting off a little bit more than he can chew at the moment. And the worst one I've ever seen was Antoine Douglas, him stepping in there against the white Mike Tyson-like dude who destroyed him in that fight. You see too much of that. And just like you brought up with Dubois, I was the one biting off the Dubois high. I thought he was ready, and they clearly showed he wasn't ready. They should have kind of streamed him along the way that they were taking him. We see the same thing with what's that kid, Anthony Yard, rushing up too far and taking over Kovalev, and what Kovalev has ultimately done in his career, destroyed it. And if he would have took the regular gradual pursuits of touching every base, of seeing what's out there, seeing how well he can handle being in there against a boxer, how well he can be in there against a puncher, things like that. And a lot of these dudes aren't doing that. They're just going in here against what I tend to not like to use those terms, but lower tier type dudes, going there against lower tier type dudes, washing them away, and then feeling that they're ready for champions when they haven't been fully groomed against every aspect of what's out there as far as boxing goes, of testing yourself against maybe the B or C level boxers, B or C level power punchers, things like that, rather than going in here against serious champions who go in here and would wash away an unprepared fighter looking to make a challenge for him. But yeah, that's my thoughts. I definitely agree with everything you said on that.
And don't forget Anthony Yard, Reggie, that guy. You know.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. The last part was Anthony Yard.
Okay, yeah. But because, you know, he was another person that they just rushed him in there, you know, and it's like, and he was tremendously underprepared. And I don't know that he's going to recover from that mistake. Because you see guys go off the rails sometimes with moves that were made like that. And I'll give you a perfect example of one. Tyrell Biggs, you know, for the Olympic career that he had, amateur wise, and starting off at the pro level, they did not bring him along where he could, you know, because Tyrell wasn't the biggest puncher, but he could box. So they didn't bring him along in a manner of which his boxing could catch up to the levels that he was going to start facing. They started putting him in with bruisers right away and stuff like that, and he had to have some wars and stuff like that. He got cut, and his eyes weren't the same because of the cuts, and he lost confidence. And then to throw him in there with guys like, you know, Tyson and Bo and then Lewis and those guys, it was like he became fodder for those guys, you know, when he had more luster than a few of them. Tyson and Bo, definitely. Lewis did win a gold medal in the Olympics, but that was in '88. So it's like, you know, you really have to look at these things and make a proper assessment. Don't rush these guys down the road so fast, but make them active. You know, set up matches. Why? It's like, because he got a TV deal, why is he fighting, you know, like once every 6 to 8 months when he should be fighting like 3 to 6 times a year, depending on how the matches go? And when I say that, Reggie, it's like this. If you do score knockouts, right, why waste that conditioning by going on a 3 to 4 month layoff? Why not get back in the gym within 4 weeks or so where you don't lose that conditioning and get active again? You know what I'm saying? It's like that's how the other guys used to do it. And there was nothing wrong with doing it that way, because the more active you are, the more your timing gets put there and everything, and you become more capable and you're more confident because you know that you're in shape. Do you know being in condition is so much of the mental aspect of boxing, even more so than the physical? Because when you are in shape, you're confident that you can go out there and get the job done. Mentally, psychologically, you are like, you're good, huh? And it helps. It has a tremendous positive impact on what you do as a professional. So, but yeah, if you don't have anything on that, we can move on to the next fight that was just before that Felix Verjado against the Nakatani Japanese destroyer. What a fight that was, huh, Reggie?
Hell yeah, man. That dude got samurai blood in him.
Yeah, and you know, we talked about him when I felt he beat Teofimo Lopez. You know, I did. And we did that show.
I agree.
And I'm like, they gave Teofimo that victory because of what they had on the horizon. They were saving him for Lomo, and he had the Comey fight in between, and then, you know, so it was like they had that mapped out. But Nakatani is for real, bro. He's for real. And that right hand that Verdejo hit him with early on, that kind of buckled and put his knee to the canvas, Reggie, that was a heck of a right hand, bro. That was a heck of a punch. He caught him coming in. Those are usually kind of shots that finish fighters and stuff like that. But that dude got up and came back. You know what I'm saying? And he showed that he has championship type metal in him, Reggie. What are your thoughts on that fight?
I agree with you, man. It was like every time, because in that first round, I missed the first knockdown. I did not see that. But when I'm watching the first round, I'm watching Nagatani walk at him. And then when I seen the replay, it was like, what the heck? Like, he was dropped like that. It was the shot looked good. That ended up dropping him to the ground, and watch him get right back up there. And it's almost like being knocked down is at the back of his head. It doesn't crush his confidence or nothing. He goes right back into whatever his plan is, and he comes right back at you. And I think that kind of messed Verdejo up, because usually when a fighter is caught like that, you get a lot of fighters who have to kind of regain their confidence, have to figure things out. Nagatani just switches it out of his mind, and he's back into what he wants to do inside of a fight. He began to box. I've seen him boxing well in that first round, but he was getting caught with a lot of stuff. He makes a lot of mistakes, but his toughness, man, carries him through. What's the name? Verdejo's had great explosiveness off of his punches. He was throwing some big, strong punches in this fight, and it was a lot of big counter shots. Nagatani was trying to set up with that jab, was having difficulties with the jab. Like he said in his post-fight, he was saying he's having difficulties because of the head movement from Verdejo at the moment, but it never deterred him. But what he said he needed to figure out is coming up underneath to throw off his shots. He needed to lower the shots coming up underneath to find the connection. But his pressure began to kind of break the will of fucking Verdejo. I mean, sorry about that, but breaking the will of Verdejo's. But even when Verdejo's caught him with that punch running in there and landing that big punch that you're talking about that broke him down and sending him down to that knee, and watch how quick, and even when the punch hit him where he dropped down to the knee, he was pulling himself back up. He recovered so quick from that punch. It was like the punch hit, he got himself up, and he was looking to fight until the ref stopped it to go into the count sequence. The dude was already ready to fight, and when they returned to it, it was like it's in the back of his mind. It's like, hey, we still in the fight. Nothing happened. Let's keep fighting. And I don't think Verdejo was able to kind of comprehend that, because now he's back into another fight. Then it was another point where he ends up, when Nagatani had Verdejo hurt, because he hurt Verdejo several times after that. I think towards the middle of the fight is where the tide began to change on that one. And he ended up clipping Verdejo and was going after him. Verdejo cracks him. That's when he had it almost like he almost twisted his knee out of socket, and he's able to quickly recover from that. And just going forward, he began to just put it on there. When he caught Verdejo with that nice little left-hand jab or whatever, rocked him, and had Verdejo, stumbling all across the ropes, I was like, wow, this dude is just relentless. And along with he's putting his punches together, and he's putting a lot of heat. The bruising on Verdejo's face showed what he was being hit with. And Nagatani's just relentless. And like he said in his post-fight, that they asked him what made him keep getting up, and his thoughts was he needs to get back at Teofimo. That's all that ran through his mind. So I'm like, this dude's heart is just something else, and I like what I see from Nagatani, man. He is relentless. He got that samurai spirit, and if as long as he can everything's functioning, he can get up, he's going to find a way to get up. And it's on an opponent who sends him to the ground to figure out what he has to do to break him. And I think with him getting up, that begins to break the spirit of him. And on top of him getting up, he's coming back at you as if the knockdown never ever happened. And I think that's mentally debilitating, on top of him coming at you with pressure. Man, he just broke the spirit up out of Verdejo's. And I've seen many times where Verdejo's looked to kind of question what was going on. You can just see it over his face as Nagatani's just constantly putting pressure on him. And those shots that Verdejo's was swinging at him, Verdejo's just swinging with such ill intentions and hitting this dude with, and the punches would do nothing to back Nagatani up. It was, I don't even think I've seen Nagatani really backing up. So it just shows what kind of nonstop pressure this guy's putting in on the fight. And if Teofimo is to give him another opportunity, and like I agree with you, I thought Nagatani won that fight. Teofimo's losing those belts to this dude. Unless they do some cheating stuff, bring Russell Moore in there for him, that's the only way for him to win. But that's my thoughts on that one.
Yeah, I agree that Nakatani has the spirit of, he has championship caliber spirit. But I'll tell you this, being in shape, once again, is what is his call to order, because conditioning plays such a tremendous role here, Reggie. It really does. When you're not in good shape, you think about ways of how to end things, how to get beyond the point of where you are of discomfort. When you're in shape, you seek out means of how to achieve and get it done. It's different. It's as simple as that. And you don't have to have iron chin. You know, you don't have to have a steel jaw that can just carry you through. Your conditioning, your desire, your ability, and how you've approached your fight. You know, remember, this man is fighting. He's coming from Japan, and he's coming over here to fight. He was knocked down, he got up, and he won. And he deserved the win, just like he deserved the other win that he didn't get. But remember, he did not come into this opportunity thinking like a guy that, well, I'm just one of the, you know, I'm one of the crowd. That man thinks like he's a champion. And you could see it in his performance. You could see it in how he attacks. You could see how he, you know, when something is not necessarily going his way, he makes some adjustments or whatever, and he starts to press further and harder. You could see that. And I speak about this all the time. When people have what you call national pride, okay, you have a little bit more to fight for. And having his national pride from where he comes from, he knows he's on foreign soil. He knows that the deck is stacked against him. He knows that if he goes out there and he performs at a high level, he still might not get the decision or whatever. So getting knocked down, that's part of boxing, never deterred him. He got up and fought even harder and took the fight away from Verdejo. This is what you like to see. This is what you like to see. That was what I was trying to convey when we were talking about Regis Prograis when he went over there to fight Josh Taylor for that championship. And I was like, he has to come. If you could go back, see the video I did, I said he has to come outside of himself and do some things that he may not normally do the way he may normally do them, because it's going to take a superior effort than anything he's done before up to this point, because he's fighting on a different soil. And in order to get the result, he has to lay it on the line. He has to sell it out and things like that. Well, he didn't. And even though people said that decision was very close, they could see Regis getting it, and if it had been in the U.S. and this and that, but it wasn't in the U.S. Okay? And this is why I said what I said. There are people who understand that you don't have to convey that to. But so many of the fighters of today, they will find an excuse to not do their best. They will find an excuse as to why not to fight the best. They will find an excuse to not try to be the best. You know, and you see it all the time. Remember, we talk about national pride. We have great fighters, potentially great fighters, right here on our soil. Let's use the lightweight and welterweight divisions as an example here. We have good fighters here, but people choose sides instead of choosing the game, the boxing that can come between the best facing one another. And so they create a divide, and then the fighters now have bought into it because social media is so impactful now that fighters have bought into this ideology that, well, I don't have to fight that guy. I don't need that guy or whatever. That's just an excuse. Because if you want to claim to be the best, you have to go out there and put it on the line against others who, on paper, it doesn't look like a solid win for you. It's that simple when it comes to that. So Nakatani came over here for victory and nothing less. And Verdejo, if he were smarter, I don't know what the scorecards were, Reggie, because with my buffering and everything, I decided just not to keep track of the rounds and scores. But there should have been an adjustment made by Verdejo, because if you want to win the fight, you can't win the fight fighting, the other guy's fight for the duration. And he was wide open when he was caught and everything. So I don't know if fatigue was setting in, and to the degree that he felt like, he couldn't keep it together, or if his attention was, wandering or what. But it's a lesson, and not necessarily a lesson to but a lesson to observers that, hey, this is what can transpire. You know what I mean? And when guys are out there fighting. But yeah, that's what I had to offer on that with Nakatani, and congratulations to him. I saw them taking him and putting him in an ambulance. I don't know what he was going. I didn't have the audio up to hear what was going on with that, but hopefully he's okay.
Yeah, I think it was just for the eye injuries.
Okay. So yeah, but hey, man, let's move right on into the other match that we had a chance to see just before Shakur, and that fight there, man. I mean, come on, Reggie. It's like I was listening to you. You were you were calling both fights, because you had, I guess you switching back and forth, or you had them both on or whatever. But this gentleman, Chris Colbert, man, taking on ARBODELA, man. This fight right here, I felt like, well, just upon looking at Chris Colbert, just upon looking at him and seeing what he does, I get angry, like not angry like, oh, I'm mad, I'm pissed off, but I kind of get disappointed, like a guy that always want to put on a show or something, but don't realize why he's there. You know what I mean? And that's kind of like explaining him. I mean, all you have to do is see him in his approach to the ring, and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. I mean, the guy comes out there, he's got pink hair, he's got this pink outfit on, and he's advertising, and he's doing all this other stuff, but he is not looking to send the message that you want a young prospect that's, has championship aspirations. He's not displaying any of that. It seems like everything else but. How many times has he changed his ring nickname or whatever? I know it was Lil B-Hop. I think it was something before that. Now it's Prime Time. It's like he's trying to entertain when all you got to do is go out there and fight, man. That's all you got to do, because he's a good fighter. He can fight. But all this other stuff is a distraction, man. And that's going to catch up to him. I believe it. What are your thoughts?
I'm the same way. I believe it's going to catch up, man. He's way too talented to be doing the BS that he does in the ring. Like, watching this fight, I flipped over, was hoping the other dude would have knocked him down or beat his ass. Like, I was getting tired of watching him not fully dedicate himself to getting this opponent up out of there. It's just too much of the entertaining side where he seems to want to act like he's in an exhibition match rather than fully dedicate himself, leading the hands all the way down to the ground, showcasing like, hit me, playing like he's the matador against the bull, all this type of stuff. And he was getting hit with some big punches by this dude, big punches that he should not have been getting hit with, because he was not settled in to really kind of being this separated type fighter to really displaying his skills, going over into the southpaw stance, switching back in the orthodox. The not sure, I don't remember ever seeing him switching stances like this. And the orthodox stance did not, I mean, the southpaw stance does not look good for him. Keeping the hands down low to the ground, flipping up shots, and sitting on the ropes, then calling the guy back over there to come to the ropes and just letting the dude tee off on him. None of that stuff was good. He could have clearly separated himself against this dude. This is the fight business, being he's a young fighter. He hasn't felt where he's been hurt in the fight. But this dude, if he would have laid a punch more solidly, because he was connecting solid to the jaw of Chris Colbert, he could have ended up severely hurting Chris Colbert and changing the dynamics of the fight. He has to learn, playing around like that, all a fighter needs to do is land one shot, and everything changes for you if it's one of these shots that you never recover from. He cannot play around here with these people like they're food. He needs to act like he's starving, and he has to get these guys up out of here, because he could have got this guy up out of this fight. When he decides to really dedicate on his craft, inside of moments in this fight where he just clearly start beating this guy up, and then he goes right back into playing around. I mean, none of that stuff cool. I can't rock with it. It doesn't look good to me. It ain't stylish to me. It's wasted. Same thing with Jaron Ennis. The same thing said with Jaron Ennis, except Jaron Ennis has a father who stays on top of him, because in that last fight, it's the same thing. His pops tell him, you're playing around too dang much. The same thing that needs to be said to Chris Colbert. You playing around too much. And all this old goofy, gimmicky, hair-looking crap, man, he needs to cut that crap out, man. I mean, he's young, so he's going to do that. But in the ring, he has to stop doing that, because he's going to get caught by one of these dudes he's going to step up against, and it's going to really push him back down as far as his pursuits moving up. He needs to take these things serious, beat guys up to get them the heck up out of here, because he has the power to start ending fights without going to a judge's scorecard. But he has to just lock in, be like Shakur. You can talk that stuff, move forward, but keep it clean with your boxing, so that way you're not opening yourself to something. Because in one of these fights, when they do step him up and he playing around, he's going to get caught with something. It's going to change everything. He'll end up like Josh Greer up in this thing. That's my thoughts on that.
You know, Reggie, another example of him doing some goofy stuff was after the first round. You know, the first round, he established superiority right away. And in the second round, he comes out as southpaw and he's doing this. I was like, what is he doing? It's like, dude, you were building the blocks toward maybe an early night, you know, and he did that stuff, and he started moving around and doing some different things. And I was like, he totally took himself out of what he had really worked on. And do you remember what round that was? Was it the first round when he caught ARBODELA with that uppercut that hurt him really bad and had him stumbling and stuff? And it looked like, oh, it's going to be an early night, right? Was that the first round or the third round or something like that?
Second round. Second round.
Yeah. And so it's like, you know, and then when the bell rang for the immediate round after that, he comes back out and he's going about it, you know, things again like, ho hum, listen to, you know, not even the same intensity. Not even the same intensity that he had from the first round. And, you know, it's like, that's a guy that's not focused on what he should be focused on. Remember, Lubin thought he was a lot better than he was. Huh? And he run in there and got hit with a shot that he didn't see by Charlo. And the funny thing Charlo saw everything. That's why he landed the shot. But Lubin now, off of the loss, you can see he fights a little bit different now. He has a different approach mentally to boxing. He got sat down. You know, you have a child acting up and you keep telling them, and I used this example before, you sit down, and they keep getting, and you sit their butt down, okay, and listen. That's what happened to Lubin. This kid is very good. He's very good. The 5 KOs is deceptive because I know he can pop. I know he can pop. But when you go out there and entertaining is your first order of business and not fighting, you kind of got your priorities mixed up a little bit. You know what I mean? And he's too good to be doing the stuff that he's doing. And there's some other talent out there that can embarrass him. They're just waiting for that opportunity. Because like what I'm talking about, there are camps, trainers, coaches, and even fighters who are looking at this and they're like, okay, yeah. So, you know, but that's something to be said. Now, for those out there in the chat that want to say, like, you know, is being harsh and critical or whatever, let me tell you something, man. The world don't revolve around you. The world don't revolve around your thoughts. The world don't revolve around what you bring or whatever. It's like there are other people out here, okay? But the thing about it is, to be able to accept constructive criticism is a path toward being able to have breakthroughs in life. If you're short-sighted, if you're low-browed, that's what you will be stumbling upon in your walk in life. Okay, you have to be able to understand that something sometimes is not for you, it's not for that person, it's not for that person, but at the same time, there will be something for you and something for that person and the next person. But if you haven't grown with any values taught to you, ethics, okay, then you missed the boat totally. And what I'm saying even at this very moment won't mean much to you. But I'm telling you from the standpoint of a fighter going through progressions, a fighter like Colbert, who is so talented, he won't reach his full potential trying to be more than a fighter. Okay? You got to make a decision. What you going to do? Muhammad Ali talked. He realized he could sell tickets by being brash and bold and having a voice. But he trained like the Dickens and he fought even better than he talked. Okay? And he is thought of today for both things, but people, and I say this all the time, they misconstrue what he was all about. Because when he's emulated for things he said and his physicality in the ring of dancing around and flipping fast punches and jabs. But you know what's not emulated? The character of the man. Who is out there trying to be him character-wise? Which he had very strong resolve and character. So you missed the boat. You understand? Because you saw the flash, but you never saw that which was solid. And that was what was inside the man. Okay? That's why he was great, because of what was inside. His resolve was so strong. It was a foundation to build upon. Okay? And that's what carried him. When Joe Frazier knocked him down in that 15th round and he was on the canvas 2 seconds and was up at the count of 3 of a hard-fought fight, that's that resolve that got him up. He didn't lay there and say, oh, shoot, he caught me good. He got right up. And when he was interviewed about it, they said, what was going through your mind, Muhammad, when he knocked you down in that round? Get up, get up, get up. That was his answer. I ain't supposed to be down there. But see, that's a fighter. But y'all see him dancing on his toes and throwing fast combinations and talking. Calling people names and talking about float like a butterfly and all of that, right? But what about that resolve that's inside of him? Why not emulate that? You see, It's like, you think somebody is being harsh on him, reading too much into it? No, I'm telling you the truth about it, because he'll go back and disappoint you. Huh? And you know why you will be disappointed? Because you were focused on the wrong thing, just like he was. There's always lessons in life to learn, but not many people allow themselves to learn the lessons, to be taught, because they too busy talking. Huh? There's a reason you have one mouth and two ears. Think about that for a moment. Go ahead, Reggie.
No, man, I agree with everything you said, man. I'm not about to apologize for being harsh on the dude. I've seen too many Colberts throughout life with the flash. They play around. They want to entertain more than focusing directly on the craft and the antics. We watched another dude who could have been so great before Colbert, and Adrian Broner. The same kind of things with people. Oh man, just let him do. Man, we seen that shit from a mile away of what it was going to turn into. It's going to be some self-destruction going in behind it, because you're playing around too much. You're not taking things serious, and you got other guys coming around throughout the sport who don't play that. This is an international game. There's people with many, many thoughts around this world of what they want to do to folks like that, because they take this game serious, and at any moment they sneak up on you. We've seen that even with LeVar Cooper was putting in the chat with Lemieux versus Marco Antonio Rubio, coming in here thinking everything's sweet, getting in there, getting stopped. We've seen all throughout our time of watching boxing, those who come before my time have seen this, where you see rising, flashy type dudes who do not take things serious because they're doing one thing and can play around with other people at lower levels. Matter of fact, we've seen the same thing with Hasim Rock. I mean, not Hasim Rockman, but the Prince Nassim. He was the same type of cat in that ring, playing around like that. And then he steps in there with somebody serious and wasn't playing that stuff with him. And ultimately what happened within his career. I mean, we've seen that.
Check this out.
This dude's going to have to learn to take it serious. Go ahead.
Check this out, Reggie. Just put this in the chat. Tell people to go out and watch this fight. Anthony Hembrick versus Booker T. Ward. Go watch that fight. And come back and see me. Anthony Hembrick was on the USA Olympic team. Okay? He was a rising amateur star, and when he turned pro, he appeared to have all the goods, okay, that you want in a light heavyweight. He tried to be reminiscent of an Ali, actually, as Ali was a heavyweight in the amateurs, a light heavyweight, in the amateurs. But go check out Booker T. Ward and Anthony Hembrick, and you will see a lesson for life. And if people don't know about that fight, they need to know about it. That's why I'm mentioning it. Somebody write it in the chat or something. Stormy busy talking, but it's like Booker T. Ward versus Anthony Hembrick. It was on USA Tuesday Night Fights. It's a classic. Check it out. Check it out. Tone Brown has offered the outcome of the fight. But Tone Brown, that's not the most important point here. You see what I'm talking about? How you guys don't focus? What was of notoriety from that fight was Anthony Hembrick used to come to his fights with an orchestrated pre-fight presentation for his fans, for the TV audiences and everything. He liked to put on the show. He come out there on this particular night dancing around like he was part of New Edition and everything, or the Temptations. Okay, and all of this was before they announced him. Okay, he came to the ring. Guess what? His cornermen and everything were a part of the routine. Oh man, they look like the Four Tops. Okay? he got knocked the hell out in the first round. And when he got knocked down the first time, and the ref said, "You okay?" He was like, "Yeah, I feel like a champ." No, he should have said, "I feel like a chump." Because when he got hit upside the head, maybe his English got jarbled or something like that. Huh? Because he went down an assortment of times in that round before they waved the fight off. He never got the chance to go back and sit on the stool. Because the performance he put on before the fight, that was better than the fight, according to him. And that's why he got knocked out. So the lesson here to be learned is focus. Get your head in the sport, in the game, and out of your own ass. Huh? That's what the lesson is. I'm telling the truth. You could go see it for yourself. They got tapes.
I'm watching it right now.
Yeah. He was doing the electric slide, the boogaloo, the turkey dance, everything. He did it all. And his cornerman participated in it with him. Where are those guys today? I'm telling you. There's a reason Stormy say the things that he say. Okay? I don't talk out of my rear end, man. I'm telling you straight. And if you ain't accustomed to listening to it or hearing it, hey, that's your thing. But I ain't going to sugarcoat it over here. I ain't. I already said the man is too talented to be doing the foolishness that he's doing. But he ain't going to get very far. Just keep on living and you'll see what I'm talking about. It is what it is, man. It is what it is. But yeah, that's enough of that one though, Reggie. We can move on to the card from earlier in the day where we got a chance to see the return of the unified heavyweight champion, Anthony Joshua, who was taking on COLBERT PULEV. In a scheduled 12-rounder for his unified championship. Is Joshua's first return to the ring since he won his titles back from Andy Ruiz Jr. in Saudi Arabia in December of 2019. COLBERT PULEV, who has been around the heavyweight division, he challenged for the heavyweight title once before when Vladimir Klitschko was heavyweight champion, and he was stopped in that fight with Klitschko. Pulev was the type of fighter that was very limited. His boxing skills are marginal, to say the least, and he has thrived with top rank in the division, not being very active, but at the same time staying around the top of the division enough to warrant him getting a shot at this title. So that took place earlier this afternoon, our time stateside, but it was last night over in the UK, of course. Reggie, what are your thoughts on this fight?
I'd like to start by saying good win for AJ. Went in there, did what he's supposed to do. But in this fight, he was gun shy as heck, man. He was gun shy as heck. They spent a lot of moments in this fight just prancing around in front of each other, jumping up and down, bouncing in and out, moving their hands from side to side, up and down, shifting them, faking as they're going to throw a punch, wasn't throwing punches. And the thing with it that opened everything up, because the first two rounds, AJ was hesitant to throw a shot. I think he may have even given him the first round. He was winning the first round by landing like 2 or 3 shots. Pulev didn't do too much anything. He bounced up and down. He couldn't figure out how to get on the inside of AJ. But what he was doing is he will shoot out this jab, throw a right hand over the top of it. And I was worried he's going to catch AJ. He could not catch AJ all night when he threw that series of shots, which looked to be a shot that would have got, if it would have connected, it would have definitely hurt AJ. But AJ was able to get a right hand over the top of a lazy jab that he threw out there, because Pulev leaves himself open a lot. But he threw out that jab, leaving his whole side of his face open, and AJ tagged him. And that's when AJ went on that pursuit in that third round, just trying to get this dude up out of here. AJ mixes well that's when that instinct turned up. He began to mix in these shots, end up dropping the dude like twice. I thought they were going to stop the fight then, because Pulev was turning his back, running away from AJ, praying over in the corner as AJ throwing a flurry of shots at him. And, they allowed the fight to go on. So he survives that round, but then going right back into it, AJ back tentative, afraid to throw shots. Back to landing maybe 3 to 5 punches in these rounds. Nothing significant, barely flicking out the jab. Then he ends up getting in that final round where he lands a solid uppercut on Pulev to get him up out of there. But ultimately, he just didn't look like himself. He just didn't look comfortable in that fight. He seemed to worry rather than sticking into game plan, rather than working the jab. His jab looked solid when he flicked it out there. The jab looked very crisp. He able to whip that jab out there, get it back, but he's a little bit too worried about being touched with something, and that could be a problem with him. And now they're talking this Tyson Fury talk. It could be a major problem, because now Fury is a guy that he cannot sit out on the outside worried about engaging to where he's bigger than the other opponents, because the thing with Pulev is Pulev had an issue with Anthony Joshua's size, and Anthony Joshua could stay safe on the outside. He can't do that against Tyson Fury. He's going to have to come in here and reinvent himself into being a fighter, somebody who's willing to exchange, because he got to find a way to get on the inside, and he's going to get touched trying to work his way on the inside. And he can't be worried about what his chin is like. He's going to have to be able to absorb the shots, find a way on the inside. But in this fight against Pulev, he was way too gun shy, but ultimately he ended up getting up out of here by landing the 1 or 2 shots he needed to find the openings, and then he begins to turn it up. And that's what he came up out of here. But it was a good victory for him, but it showed that AJ has a lot that he has to work on to facing these other dudes that he's looking to make these unification challenges with. But that's my thoughts on it.
Great breakdown, bro. AJ has not improved, man. If anything, he has probably regressed. I see the same thing you saw with the being gun shy, but also being a little bit confused and unfocused in there as to what he really wanted to do. Looking at Pulev take uppercuts as if, he's an open window waiting for a fly to fly in. It's like, I don't know. The man couldn't even put his guard up to try to block a punch that was totally debilitating him every time it was thrown. And to see him turn his back and kind of like, what was that all about? Because the referee could have stopped the fight right then and there. And he didn't, which either the referee don't know or he's a sadist or something, because he took more. And a couple more times he tried to turn away. What's that song? Don't turn around. Uh-oh. You know what I'm saying? It's like he was he was trying to get the hell out of there. And it wasn't so smart, man, because he had absolutely no versatility in his arsenal of punches. He had nothing as far as strategy or tactics, and he had nothing as far as coaching from the corner. So it's like it was really some kind of a crapshoot, and why it took so long for AJ to finally get him up out of there, I don't know. Because because they both were doing some goofy stuff in there, like they were being bros at one moment, and I don't know, man. All of it was foolishness. But he talking about he want Tyson Fury. Man, Tyson Fury is gonna kick AJ's butt inside out, man. Really. It's like it's that simple. He can't box. He's heavy-handed because look at him. He's a big dude, right? But he can't box. He doesn't have a good chin. He doesn't know how to get out of the way of punches. He can't fight on the inside. And if you're not standing there allowing him to tee off on you, he doesn't have the sensibility of how to break a guy down, tactical wise. So it's like, it was crazy. I saw early in the fight, you could go back and watch it, PULEV threw a jab at his chest. And it must have been a mistake because PULEV never did it for the rest of the fight. But he threw a jab at AJ's chest that landed. Boom. You know what AJ's response was? He hit his chest like this, like, yeah, come on, do it again. Dude, that's one of the best strategies that he could have done in tactics. But he never did it again. And AJ is stupid enough to stand up there saying, yeah, come on, do it. You big dummy. That's how he could get you. But again, we're not talking about boxing IQ here because one guy couldn't fight and the other guy wasn't certain if he wanted to. That's what we saw. Huh? And it was really an atrocious outing for both men. There had to be a winner, unfortunately, and it definitely wasn't the fans. Okay? But this was the type of thing we waited around for. A total crap show. It's like, man, this is ridiculous. And as soon as one person with courage, ability, and will and desire gets in there, they're going to lift those belts away from that man. Because he definitely can't hold them. They're a little bit heavy for him, regardless of all the muscles that he come in there with. That's what I got to say about that one, Reggie.
Yeah, that's all I got, man. I got no other thoughts, man. But I don't know what he's going to do when he goes into a fight with Fury. I don't know what the heck he's going to do. Like you say, he may have regressed. And me, I thought he may have been nervous or panicked once again because how delayed the fight was. And he just didn't show any level of confidence going into this fight. It took for him to hurt PULEV to start really showing, you know, an old shell of himself. And then right after that, he kind of regressed back. So going in here against Fury, I don't know what he's going to do. And Fury's going to come in here to try to really assault and bully this dude. Does AJ fold or does he try to fight back? And that's going to be the hard question in here. I mean, his confidence seems to be shaken. And, it's going to be a tough one for your boy Eddie, man. Eddie's going to have a tough time rethinking this one if AJ is to get brutalized against Tyson Fury and them activating a rematch against Tyson Fury. It's going to be a tough one.
You know, I'm not prone to blocking people on my channel, but this person, Stone, Neil, Anthony, when you say your kind is the reason boxing is going down, criticizing every boxer who ever stepped into the ring, it's a disgrace. No, you son of a bitch, you're a disgrace. You out of here. You won't make the replay. You're kind. What the hell is that supposed to mean? If you don't like what's on the plate over here being served, you ain't got to be up in here. You don't have to come. This party ain't for you. My kind? Eric R., what's up with that? Eric R., what's up with that?
You still there?
Yeah, I'm still here, Reggie. I'm handling this business of modding here. You know, if I throw somebody out and the moderator wants to bring them back, then that person don't need to be a moderator. This is my channel. I work hard on my channel. You don't get to come and disrespect me on my channel.
No, I think it might have been an accident. We probably went to go block him, and when you do that, it unhides them.
I don't time out, Eric, but that piece of trash needed to be thrown out. I'm sorry about that, Reggie. But that's pretty much, you know, what we got for this evening's show. You give us some final words and thoughts, man.
Man, yeah, man, another good little week of boxing, man. Finally got something concluded in this heavyweight division, and ultimately going into possible unification, which we allow Bob to have things in his hands, and controls are in his hands, and more for him to mess things up. But ultimately, we'll see what happens. Get one face with all the titles in this division. Hopefully, they can move forward with it. Let's see what it looks like. Get it done and over with. Give the American champion his shot at it. But that's all I got. Had a little fun week here on Saturday, calling these fights, giving a recap on it, and seeing what we have for the next week.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I think we got next coming up is the Canelo and Smith card next weekend. We're going to see the return of Cinnamon, and we'll see what happens there. I think this guy is really, you know, picking and choosing of his opponents and everything. But sooner or later, you're going to slip on a banana peel, you know. But yeah, it was a great Saturday of boxing, a long Saturday of boxing. I mean, my goodness, ESPN is wrong, so wrong for what they did to us this evening with that broadcast going from ESPN Plus to regular ESPN, Reggie. I didn't like that at all, what they did. But yeah, so be it. But another great show, man. Thanks for being a part of it. I'm going to hit you after I end the broadcast. I wanted to let you know about something tomorrow. Salute to everybody that's out there that came to rock with us. And this is STORMYBMAN. We're going to get on up out of here. Let everybody go enjoy the rest of their night and weekend. And we'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.
Mm-hmm.